This is honestly such a cool feature, especially that it really doesn't matter what device people have. You can all have your separate mismatched devices. Alright, today we're looking at the RG40XX H, which, if it looks like a slightly bigger version of the RG35XX H, it's because it pretty much is. He's rocking that same H700 quad-core ARM chip as his other friends in the lineup, like the RG35XX SP, the H, Plus, 2024, all those good guys. Starting with the unboxing, we've got the lovely Anbernic boxing with the shiny outline of the product, hyping it up. We've got this little felt cover keeping the joystick safely in place, a little getting started manual, and a USB cable. Notably a USB Type A to Type C, which indicates this likely will only charge in that form factor and not C to C, similar to its sibling consoles. And in my unit, I also got this snazzy case with the little Anbernic logo on there, and it's your pretty standard little mesh pocket there for, I guess, a micro SD card, which I had in there and just flew out, so maybe not that. But it just slides in there as so, and keeps it protected. Keeps those Joy-Cons safe. But let's take a look at this guy. It feels pretty good in the hands. It's got a good weight to it. It doesn't feel very cheap or light, but it's also not extraordinarily heavy. I believe the battery is located pretty squarely centered in the console, so it's not top heavy in any way. As far as the size, it's pretty nice and slim there, as you can tell. Just a little outtake there for the bumpers, which we'll get to in a second. And let's do a little size comparison with a few consoles we have here. We'll start with side by side with a Game Boy Advance. And obviously the screen is noticeably quite a bit bigger there. But yeah, as far as like the D-pad button positioning, pretty natural layout. You can tell that they've designed this for D-pad play primarily, because your thumbs are going to naturally be drawn up here. You can go down here as you need, but it's kind of D-pad forward, which is smart because a lot of us will be using that. It's definitely beating the GBA as far as thinness goes. Over to the DS Lite, similar thing. We can see that we've got the just a little bit wider, and then as far as thickness goes, again, it looks to just match the DS Lite, including the bumper jet out there. Then one of its closer competitors, I feel like this really resembles a PSP, and so here's my PSP 1000 here. I believe it is, no, my PSP 2000, I stand corrected. And obviously the screen here is wider than a 16:9, but you can see that the proportions, the width is just about exactly the same. And as far as width goes, looks like we are about a tie as well if you include the LNR jet outs there. But aside from that, the RG40, man, I always suck at saying these names, RG40XX H. I'm just going to call it the 40, I guess. Maybe that makes it sound like a certain type of beverage, but we're going to call it the 40 from now on. So the 40 is slimmer if you ignore the LNR jet outs there. Next, we'll compare with my standard Redbox Switch, which obviously is going to have a bigger screen. A Switch Lite, which I don't own, would be a little more comparable because it has an inch smaller screen, be about there. And so it's just another inch down from there or so. But side by side, you can tell that these joysticks are essentially the same. They've got this little crosshair pattern here, and look to be the exact same, at least style. I don't know about the exact part, but the style of them is pretty one-to-one, so little inspo taken there. And then as far as the widths go, you can see that we're pretty direct here. I think the Switch feels a little bit thinner on the base, but then its LNRs jet out farther, and now they're basically the same width. Lastly, we'll get its sibling cousin, the SP, in here. Obviously, it's going to be a lot thinner than the SP because it's a clamshell. And then if we unfold it, we can see that the screen, we get that extra half-inch of real estate, which is awesome. I don't know if it's even worth comparing it side to side like this. Yeah, it doesn't feel like that. This just feels like a dumb comparison because they're two such different consoles. But yeah, it's basically the same width-wise. I don't know, it's kind of apples and oranges here. But if you wanted to see them side by side, well, there you go. As far as the buttons go, the D-pad feels fantastic. It's got a really nice kind of, you can feel it click into each angle. It's got a good kind of rubberiness to it. It's not very clicky at all. I feel like I can roll if I was playing Street Fighter really well in that. Maybe we'll give that a go. Face buttons feel fantastic. Good clickiness, I would say about the same as the PSP, maybe a little bit stiffer in a good way. And so I can feel satisfying, like I know when I pushed it down. Definitely lack of clickiness. I'll put it up to the mic here. D-pad. And that feels really good. Shoulder buttons, bit of a different story. Definitely some clickiness there. These are not analog, and they are rather clicky. You can hear that in the mic here. And then the start and select, actually not nearly as clicky. Those are about what I would want them to be. You know, a little bit rubbery, but a firm click. And the menu as well. So really, it's just the bumpers that got a lot more clickiness to them. And we'll compare that to the SP, which had notably clicky bumpers as well. Here's the SP. And here's the 40. Granted, if you saw my previous video, I did add some foam between the bumpers here so that these wouldn't rattle around. And so it's not exactly a factory to factory test, but kind of gives you an idea of the clickiness of these bumpers. But considering it's just the bumpers and everything else is pretty reasonable on clickiness, I'm pretty happy with that. Speaking of fixing the rattle in the SP, let's see how this guy sounds. That is not a rattling console. That is a solid feeling console. So way to go, Anbernic, on that. And yeah, really anything else to cover here is the joysticks feel good. We'll cover those in gameplay in a bit. They've got a click to them, so if your game utilizes click, you'll now have that available in RetroArch, I assume. Volume buttons, not very clicky. Reset's feeling good. So overall, this guy's feeling nice and solid. We've got our TF1 and 2 slot here, our internal for OS, our external for games. Good, as we expect. Headphone jack, HDMI out, USB-C for charging. Fantastic. All right, let's boot this guy up and see what we have going on. As usual, I have to hold it down for maybe about 5 seconds before we see that Anbernic logo pop up. There we go. Oh, and while this is booting up, I haven't had a chance to test the battery life yet, but if I get a chance to before this video comes out, I will overlay the battery life test results right here. All right, now we're in the classic Anbernic stock OS. First things first, we're going to hop over to settings and we are going to turn off the button sound right here because no one needs to hear the Samsung S3 drip drop sound as it is no longer 2013. You'll notice the settings are pretty much the same as you'd expect if you've seen other Anbernic stock OSs, with one notable change that there is now this LED settings option here. And as you can see, you can change the lighting effects you can just turn these off. You can turn them on, so they're not always indefinitely on, as some were concerned about. I have mine set to breathing light medium speed, and then I changed the color. You just mix your RGB, so I just mixed red and blue to get this kind of purple fade effect here. If I wanted to, I could make it a bit sharper. LNR jumps up dramatically when you're hitting it, so that jumps up like how fast you're gonna notch it down. That's a hot tip because I was going one by one for a while there, trying to get green down to 0, so remember that's available to you. And then in your modes, you can do always, breathing light fast, you can do breathing light slow, simulator phantom, chasing light, lots of fun ones here. This is called epilepsy, wouldn't recommend that one. And so I'm just gonna stick with breathing light medium speed on my little pink setting here, and that looks cool. You also have access to the backlight brightness and things, but in Anbernic typical fashion, you have nice little shortcut keys that they've considered, like holding down menu and then volume down for brightness down. You can see it goes down to level 1. And then volume up, you can crank it all the way to brightness level 5. And speaking of their shortcut keys, we also have menu and start to close a game, menu to open the RetroArch menu, menu and R2 I hear is fast forward in games, so that's super handy to have. And so little touches like that, really polish up this Anbernic stock OS. Moving on to the settings, let's take a look at the main menu here. So we have game rooms, the infamous game rooms. If you've heard, especially SP reviews, it was notably quite rough on performance. And it's funny, I tried it out on this time around, and I really tried to watch it suffer, and I actually haven't been able to run a game and get noticeably bad performance. So maybe they fixed it up a little bit, but I've just come to not really trust this. I don't know if they're using like non-RetroArch cores or what, or how these are being launched, but just performance tends to be pretty unreliable. So this is here. If you want to mess around with it, let me know in the comments if you like it or something, then let me know why. But I'm just gonna skip game room for now and head right over to RA game, and then we have our lovely list of consoles here: PSP, PlayStation, Nintendo DS, N64, Dreamcast, ones I'm not even entirely sure what they are. Open bore, I probably should know what that is, but I do not. Famicom, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, all the good ones. And of course, this comes preloaded with some fun ROMs that we can enjoy, including some ports, which we'll get to. But with that, let's get into some gameplay testing. I've already turned on my RetroArch FPS meter, and we're going to... okay, I really wish they would add paging with LNR. You know what? We're going to go back out and use our lovely search feature that we have. And we're going to search for Excitebike. Oh gosh, is it EXC? Nope. Okay. EXI. Is it even on here? It's a feudal mission. Okay, never mind that. We're just going to go and pick something that's near the top or bottom of the list. Let's see. Let's go with... I'll Aladdin, the Europe port. Cool. Didn't know that existed. Version Interactive. You know it's good. I really love that chiptune version of A Whole New World. That was wonderful. So far running at 50 FPS, but it is NES, so this is how this game is supposed to run. That's the problem, is I don't know if this game is supposed to be this terrible, or if this is running perfectly as expected. I feel like I'm running a Game Boy port of the Super Nintendo game. I'm doing great, whatever I'm doing, I'm just sailing past everyone. Let's do a different game. Let's do Contra. There we go, that's much more clockable. Alright, let's see, we didn't do the Konami code. Let's see if we can do it. Alright. Yeah, buddy, let's go. Let's go. Getting a clean 59.94 frames per second. Looking nice. Oh, dang turret. Oh, he's down there. This has been a test of my NES playability. Oh. The bridge goes out. Oh, I'm alive. You can clearly I've only played Super C and never Contra. Okay, yeah. So obviously NES looking great. We've got these bezels that I think I turned on in the stock OS apps menu. There is, I believe, an app for mass disabling the bezels if you want, but you can also hop into here and go on-screen display, and then I believe you can just turn off the overlay, display overlay off, and then resume, and then you just be more full screen there, if you prefer that. Super Nintendo is going to be a similar story. We're going to play the Super Nintendo version of Aladdin, which I do know how that's supposed to run. Starting off at 60, that's a good sign. Fun fact, this is a password-based save game. Disney doesn't tend to spring for the battery in the cartridge back in the day, and so this is one of those, you just gotta memorize the quote-unquote password, where it's actually just the hex-encoded bits of how far you are in the game, how many lives you have, what level you're on, all that. And so technically I could just resume where I left off when I was 3 years old if I could just remember the dang password they gave me back in the day. Oh yeah. Platforming at its finest. Let's go. Give me that. Oh no, the cherub. Oh yeah, get appled. All right, cool. And that's Aladdin. Super Nintendo looking great as you'd expect. Bail out. Let's jump up to a newer console that can also knock out of the park. Let's jump up to PS1. I'm going to pop into the Insane Trilogy, and I think this is a ROM hack because I don't believe they've released one that you could just choose between the three with this MS Paint overlay, but yeah, you just hit start over the version of Crash Bandicoot you want to play, and then it boots into that iteration of the game. In this case, B is X, and this is now PlayStation controls, so yeah, X, square, triangle, circle, I believe I'm working with here. Yeah, let's go. I've got joystick. Let's get some joystick tests here. All right, looking good. The right has nothing to do with me. As far as the joystick goes, it definitely feels like it's all on or all off. Oh, all right, cool. Already forgot what my jump button was. Really not used to doing PlayStation controls on a Switch Nintendo layout facepad buttons, but there we go. Oh my gosh. Just a magnet for falling into that pit. Okay, we've lost 2 lives. I feel like a 5-year-old. Yeah, smooth 60. I've heard we can even crank it up a little bit. GPU plugin. Enhanced resolution. Turn that on. This will render it at 480p. That's wonderful. All right, cool. Let's give that a go. Yeah, wow. This is just really sharp. That enhanced resolution tip is pretty slick, and we are still at a clean. Yeah, there we go. Oh, can we trust this control stick? Yeah. The D-pad, I just feel tighter on this game. It's probably just because it's designed for that. PS1 wasn't really necessarily aware of the DualShock controller all the way through its lifespan, so D-pad's probably a more tight way to play this. Probably for most games, if it can play with a D-pad, do play a D-pad, but clean 60 on PS1, awesome. While we're talking PlayStation, when I tried out PSP and some other testing, I found that it was preset to actually use 2x resolution, which was impressive because Burnout Legends was running quite well at 2x resolution, but it would hang while it was ready to load a crash sequence, and so I bopped that down to 1x native resolution, and then it was pretty clean. I think it was a solid 30 FPS the whole time. The B-roll playing right now will let you know. As is usual with the higher end systems on the H700 chip devices, it's going to depend on the game, and so yeah, lighter standard games like platformers in the PSP should be fine, might even be fine on 2x resolution. Other games like God of War, you'll definitely want to back it down to 1x native resolution and probably have to turn on some frame skip to get a fully playable experience, but it should be pretty solid nonetheless. But definitely playable overall on the stock OS though. Over to Nintendo DS, let's give this a go. Oh, we already have our stylus showing up there. And so yeah, with the left thumbstick, we can move the stylus around, and with the right trigger, actually click down on it. And I believe L2 switches the screen. Yeah, okay, let's give this a go. So here I'm in the bottom screen. There's Brooke. And touch. Aha! Oh, nope. Okay. What is click down? Is it the thumbstick? Is it R1? L2? Okay, so L2 and R2 are moving the screen around. What is going to click? Did that just click it? Oh, okay. L3 or R3. Okay, so we're clicking the screen right now using this button here. That's my name now. A is my gas, I assume. Yeah, let's go. Am I in auto mode or? Oh, I'm definitely. Oh, I'm definitely in manual mode. Okay, I have to shift gears. How do you do that in this game? Let's see if we can figure out what. Oh, there it is. Right trigger is shift. Oh, buddy. Yeah. Let's go. Let's go. I have a need for speed. Oh gosh. Well, we were doing great there for a minute. And DS is using Drastic, and so in here we would configure things separately. So you're not going to get the RetroArch shortcuts and things. This will operate differently, but you can pop in the tiny little menu there. You can hit change options and see where your frame skip is. We could show speed. Yes, running at 98% speed, so basically what the DS could churn out, because that's pretty fancy graphics for the DS. So we're going to call that a pass on Drastic. Let's hit up some Dreamcast. Let's do some Marvel vs. Capcom. Classic goodness. This will be a good test of the D-pad here. I love that they include... I just love whenever the BIOS animation is included. That just really enhances the feel. I have not played this game in years. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Rolls feel good there. Oh gosh. Yeah, you can see in the top left we're dipping. We're at 55. Seen a couple. Oh, there's 49. Granted, like playing the game, I'm not really seeing that. How about we give it frame skip 1 and see where that gets us. Okay, I'm feeling the frame skip a little bit, but the FPS is a little happier. Did I just win? Oh gosh. Oh, we're dying now. Okay. Oh yeah, Spider-Man. Let's go. Oh man, I already lost my second character. Hulk is on a rampage. Come on, Spider-Man. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Oh yeah. Spider-Man v Hulk. Who would have thought? But all to say, for Dreamcast, you're probably going to mess with frame skip a little bit, but as you can see, it's perfectly playable. And before we kick things up to the N64, let's scale back a little bit and do a little GBA, since that kind of is this ideal form factor here. Let's do a little Batman Begins here. Love it. Love when we get the BIOS, as you know. It's also got a nice little overlay with the scan lines. That's nice. And then we get a little subtle bezel here. One at the bottom, Game Boy Advance, and the top Nintendo. They probably don't love that, but there it is. Yeah, obviously this form factor, the horizontal, is the most like a Game Boy Advance. So of all the Game Boys, let's give this a test here and see how that plays. Prologue. Oh, there we go. I don't want to read. I was elected to lead, not to read. Surprised I didn't have this game when I was rocking my GBA. Seems very much my speed of fly around as Batman and punch stuff. Can I punch this? Smooth 60. Not that I thought that this would struggle to play Game Boy Advance, but more curious on what the like Anbernic experience was out of the box. Like with the SP, as you guys probably know, they gave us those nice, pretty, whoa, okay.
Alfred.
I'm sorry, that's not Batman.
Alfred, we've got arson.
Perhaps it's best to left it. No, not doing a Michael Caine.
Not until I find Dr. Crane.
Dr. Crane? Is this Frasier? Is Frasier the bad guy in this? Oh, right, Scarecrow, duh. Anyway, that's Game Boy. All right, let's give N64 a spin. Definitely one of the top 3 of the most like tricky ones to run on the system, aside from PSP and Dreamcast. Let's give N64 a go. And let's do classic, let's do Super Mario 64. Right now the core we have set is the parallel N64, which I think is set by default. So let's give that a spin and see how that looks in this guy. And we'll give us a little sound too. As we can see, we've got a bit of weird shadowing there on Mario's face. Let's see if we can pick it up a little bit on the camera there. So that's a little funky. And then we had a little, oh, yep, and then this looks pretty weird. These textures aren't rendering quite right. But let's hop in and see how this looks. Let's test out that fast forward feature, shall we? Menu and R2. Ooh! Well, that's lovely. I like that very much. That's very helpful. Oh, fast forward's still on. Oh. My name is Barry Allen, and I am the fastest man alive. Glitch City on the windows, that's no good. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but yeah, lots of glitching on the waterfall, the windows. We have C-Stick. We didn't have that on the SP, obviously. Had to do some pretty crazy gymnastics to get that mapped correctly on muOS. Okay, so we have smooth frame rate, but glitchy winders. I wonder if that is a RetroArch setting. Now I'll pretend that I know all of these super well. Okay, we're on Rice. Usually that's pretty good. Let's try Glide 64. Usually HLE is good. Oh, actually, I'm surprised. I do recognize a lot of these options, so let's try those. Okay, Mario's face look fixed. He does look fixed. Looks wonderful. Oh, this looks better. Yeah, it looks like the tile is supposed to look. Okay. Okay, that's looking much better. Windows are happy, waterfall's happy. 30 FPS is decently solid. Yeah, this is bright and beautiful. N64. Okay, well, I stumbled into the right config first try, so you heard it here first. If you want it to look like that, change your GFX plugin to Glide 64, change your RSP plugin to HLE, and the core I'm using is Parallel. So it's really just a matter of messing around with this stuff. If you find that you're getting lower FPS than you want to, you might just have to turn on a little frame skip. But yeah, this is feeling good. This is perfectly playable, and especially with this joystick here, that's definitely a nice add from the SP. I'm like, ooh, I've got some N64 saves I'd like to resume on here. That this feels pretty nice. It just feels so good to hold. I just really like this this form factor. It's just like perfect size for the hands. It's very much feels like you're holding like a Game Boy Advance from back in the day, but with such a huger game library available to you. It just feels good. I don't know, maybe it's the retro aesthetic with the DMG buttons, the kind of the matte gray beige look to it, but yeah, it's just invoking a lot of nostalgia. I'm very pleased with these N64 findings. I wasn't sure if we were able to get this playable of N64 frame rate and the right graphical glitches worked out using the RetroArch cores, because the way I solved it for the SP was just to jump ship immediately and run muOS on it, which is running the dedicated MoopN64 Plus emulator and bypassing the RetroArch core entirely to get as much performance out of it as possible. And I thought that would be the solution to get properly playable N64 on this guy. So I'm glad to see that N64 is definitely enjoyable right out of the box. Speaking of muOS, if you're wondering if the existing custom firmware is available for the other Anbernic handhelds will run out of the box in this guy, the answer is probably not, at least currently. I definitely tried popping in both my existing and fresh muOS SD cards into this guy, and I just got some lines on the screen. I don't believe this display driver is supported yet in the current builds, probably both for Newly and definitely muOS, which I tested. However, I did check the muOS Discord, and it's totally on the radar, so by the time you get yours or see this video, it might even be available by then, which I'll likely try it on this guy as well, so subscribe so you don't miss that one. Now we're going to do something fun. Now that I've got two of these Anbernic consoles, we are going to try and do that multiplayer thing that they advertise on their website, where these could link up wirelessly Nintendo DS style for some Netplay co-op. So let's give that a go right now. It says to make sure they're on the same Wi-Fi. Then we're going to note down the IP address and then open the same game in RetroArch. One will be the host, one will be the slave. We're not going to call it that. We're going to call it the buddy. And so I just need to know the IP of the buddy console. And so let's just hop over to settings here and network settings. We'll make you the host. And this will be the buddy. So now that's player one. Let's go menu, Netplay, connect to Netplay host, .90. Enter. Moment of truth. Come on, baby. Oh, Anonymous2 has joined as player 2. You are now player 2. Okay, so if I hit start here, that's cool. So it's as if you were on a local SNES, 2-player team. So this will be player 1, so I'll start as him, so then this will be player that I free in a second. So I'm just watching here. I'm not controlling Diddy because I'm player 2. Select. And now I won't have control here because now player 2. Oh my goodness. This is so cool. This is honestly awesome. And so that means that anything that's running a RetroArch core can run Netplay and play 2-player between these two systems. I know you're in there. Yeah. You don't get to live today. Let's go, Ramby. Bam. Bam, 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 bam. It should be noted that the frame rate is looking great right now, too. Watch it in stereo, baby. That is wonderful. I am very pleased with that. Now let's take a look at some of the ports we have available on here. Now this does ship with some out of the box. I'm only going to play the one that I own and bought myself, which is Super 3D Noah's Ark, which if you don't know, well, now you know. It's greatest game ever. Joystick. Oh, joystick is way too fast. Got him. Oh, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Noah's upset. So if you can't tell, this game is based on Noah's Ark, and all the animals got free, and so Noah has to run around and trank them. And yeah, it's just Wolfenstein but reskinned. And that's amazing. Oh, yeah. These spit at you. They're deadly. Oh, Noah down. Noah down. So that runs fantastic. So yeah, ports. That's awesome. I believe some of them you need to actually like bring over your native game files and put them in the right folder on here. But nice to have some port support. That's very cool. While we're on some of the more fringe features, we'll just pop into the Apps Center for a second. We have our music player, video player, ebook, as I know all of you are going to use. File manager, that is handy. Expert for kind of like a different kind of file manager. And then apps. And apps is worth taking a look at. Like I mentioned earlier, they've got some bezel ones, night mode, power LED switch, quick shutdown, so that you can kind of change some features and do some things with the device that you might not be able to do elsewhere. So worth playing with and checking out. But one thing StockWest can do that I've never given a shot is if we hop into settings, network settings, I want to take a look at Moonlight, because that just sounds like a really cool option. So here I'm just booting up Sunshine on my ROG Ally. We'll get the performance turned up there. Just something fun. And then I just need to know the IP address of this device to be able to connect to it. 2.190 is this guy. Excellent. So let's set him aside there. And over here, wake him back up. 9D. Back to save. Start pairing. Pin code 2574. And then I need to enter that on here. 2574. This is using Sunshine on my ROG Ally. Success. Connect. Well, she's not frozen. Is it still alive? Did we kill it? Hello. Okay, we're just getting a dark screen here. I don't know if this is supposed to take this long. We're gonna hit menu start to bail out. Maybe we'll try that again. All right, I've been letting this sit for a good few minutes and we're still getting dark screen, a whole lot of nothing. It's not a brightness thing or anything too. I'm doing menu and volume up and nothing there. So I'm gonna call Moonlight not quite ready, at least on my pre-release unit. So maybe it'll work great for you. Worth a try, and could be a lot of fun. I was hoping to stream maybe some like Switch emulation to this guy and make it a true little Switch Lite. But with that attempted, let's plug this guy into the TV and check out the docked experience of this stock Anbernic OS. All right, while she's plugged in, let's go ahead and just plug this in and see what the hot dock process is like. And yes, we got a pretty instant recognition of the cable being plugged in, and now the OS is all big and up on the screen, so that's a win. But obviously using it like this is not ideal, so let's see if we can pair a controller to this guy. Got my 8-bit do in pairing mode now. Let's go ahead and hit search device, X button to refresh. I tend to have to hit refresh for it to start scanning for things, either Wi-Fi or apparently Bluetooth as well. Ah, there we are. And I got a little vibration from the 8-bit do. Let's see. Moment of truth. Hey. My controllers. Oh, I have to set up controllers. That's right. Yeah, if you're running something a little fancier like Batocera newly, it would do the remap for you. But over here, you need to pop into the RA settings and change the the controller. See, it says Anbernic keys. And so there was a way to do this where you change the whole controller where it's plugged in. I guess you would just go to port 2 controls, and that should be my gamepad, yeah, 8-bit do, and you'd map that port to port 1. And let's see if the Anbernic controls automatically map to port 2. They do not, so we would set that to port 2. Flip them around as if they were physical controllers plugged into the console. And now, if we resume, now this should be player 1. There we go. Now we got joystick. Wonderful. This is so weird doing one hand. Sweet, and now we have our controller running Mario 64 on our docked TV, running at a smooth 30 frames per second. That's pretty awesome. And I gotta say, it looks great. Look at those non-glitching windows staying all still and like fantastic. So to wrap things up, I am very impressed with the RG40XX H. And if you haven't yet picked up a retro handheld for yourself, this would be a pretty solid first bet. You get all the benefits of the H700 chip that its fellow Anbernic consoles share, and because of that, you should be getting all the cool custom firmware options available pretty soon for it as well. But even if not, the stock OS experience, as you've seen, is pretty great. The build quality is very solid, the controls feel good, and you can even dock it to your TV and use it like a console, which the Switch Lite can't do, so there you go. Plus, with all the systems it supports, this has a library of thousands more than the Switch Lite. So if you're on the fence, this guy's what, like around 70 Canadian dollars, 80 Canadian dollars. It's hovering around that ballpark. I can't quite remember. I'll flash it over the screen right now, whatever it ends up being. But yeah, if you're on the fence and you don't yet have one, and maybe if you have an older one, this is a pretty solid bet. And to top it all off, the extra real estate on the screen definitely makes this that much more comfortable, enjoyable to look at, and just like kind of fits the hands a little better too. Let me know in the comments if you're going to pick up the RG40XX H, or if maybe another one of these handhelds has caught your eye. Subscribe to help out the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.